With the launch of Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom just right around the corner, as well as many other anticipated games like Pikmin 4, the Nintendo Switch library just keeps growing. And the hype of these games continues to trend upwards, although the Nintendo Switch is very close to the end of its life, even with the rumored Tegra chip being used inside of the new Nintendo Switch showing up in developer units from Nvidia themselves. I'm a huge fan of the Switch though, and I've owned every version of the console, whether it be the standard red box Switch, the Switch Lite, and as well as the more recent Switch OLED. Hell, we actually have 2 of these Switch OLEDs in my house because my fiance loves Animal Crossing. Anyways, I wanted to make this video on whether or not the Nintendo Switch is still worth picking up, especially in 2023. More specifically, if the Switch OLED is something that should still be on your radar despite it being released nearly 2 years ago. So before we get into it, a like and a sub to the channel is always appreciated. We're inching very closely to 20,000 and it's just absolutely insane, so thank you so much for the support. Anyways, I think we all know the differences now between the OLED Switch and the console that launched back in March of 2017. But for those that don't, the Switch OLED has a larger 7-inch display versus the original Switch's 6.2. But the bigger display isn't the entire story, because the OLED tech used when it comes to playing handheld, the difference is night and day. Better contrast ratio, more vibrant colors, and just overall a more visually appealing experience if you plan on playing in handheld. Alongside this though, your internal storage jumps from a measly 32 gigabytes to a more acceptable 64 gigabytes, though if you plan on downloading any digital content like DLCs or even purchasing games from the eShop, I would highly just recommend buying an SD card because they're super cheap. I'll link my favorites down below just in case you're interested. There are some smaller changes like a larger kickstand and a more robust build quality, which don't make a huge difference in terms of gameplay, but they are really nice when it comes to the quality of life and the longevity of the console. Now that we got that out of the way though, if you're planning on picking up a Nintendo Switch now, I would highly recommend just making the jump and going for the OLED despite that $50 price gap. I think the differences between the two consoles, while small, you're going to get a much better experience in handheld on that OLED console. The Switch Lite is a good option if you're someone who really only plans to play lighter titles with not much visuals or details to pay attention to, like Link's Awakening, Pokemon, or Animal Crossing. Just because that 5.5-inch display can really hold you back from enjoying larger scaled titles like Breath of the Wild, and without the ability to dock it, I feel like you're missing out on the feeling of that vast open world. Instead, it feels like you're playing a mobile game. Hot take out of the way though, I've actually really been enjoying playing on the Nintendo Switch as of late because it has a really nice extensive library. The Switch is honestly one of the sole reasons that I got back into console gaming, as I just had more fun with some of Nintendo's first party titles. I felt that they had more charm, were easy to pick up and play, and they were titles that had something bringing me back and wanting to pick up the console. In the last year, I played through Mario Odyssey, Kirby and the Forgotten Lands, a ton of Animal Crossing with my fiance, and I've put a sizable amount so far into Breath of the Wild. All of these games offered such a different experience for me, whether it's a relaxing game like New Horizons and just doing some terraforming at night when I have the chance, or trying to progress further into Breath of the Wild, I never really felt bored. And although it feels like I have all the time in the world right now to play video games, despite owning various consoles and handhelds, the Switch is one of them that never felt stale. At the moment, I've really been enjoying the Steam Deck, another super popular handheld, though when it comes to the portability, the Steam Deck just really isn't a match as it's much larger, and when considering the carrying case, it takes up a ton of room in your backpack or on your person. The Steam Deck though is much more powerful, and although I'm not going to show it for copyright reasons, does have the ability to play and emulate Nintendo Switch games pretty well. Surprisingly, to be honest. But the experience isn't as pick up and play, given that most of the games require a fair bit of tweaking to get them to run correctly as opposed to running natively on the intended console. So in a perfect world, whilst I wish that I could play everything on one device, it's not really an option, and for the most part, the Switch is what ends up in my backpack if we end up going away for any extended period of time. Though, like I said before, a new Nintendo Switch could potentially be on the rise, and that being as early as late 2023 or potentially early 2024. It is expected to be using the Tegra 239, which is a much more recent and powerful Tegra SoC from Nvidia that could bring tons of new features to the Switch, such as DLSS and ray tracing support. While I do think that ray tracing on the Nintendo Switch is a little bit far-fetched considering Nintendo is just Nintendo and they do things their way, I don't think that these rumors and these leaks are honestly that far off. The expected performance of the new Nintendo Switch is somewhere in the range of the PS4 to the PS4 Pro, meaning that we could be seeing a massive leap in performance, as the community is to believe we're going to be seeing a jump from 720p on the Nintendo Switch's display to a 1080p display. And when docked, it is quite possible that we could be seeing an output of up to 4K resolution. What makes me honestly really excited for the possibility of this is just the scale, the vastness that we're going to be able to experience some of these iconic Nintendo games. I really can't wait to see what future Zelda and Mario titles are going to look like when they have the ability to stretch their legs and really put their all in. Because honestly, Breath of the Wild on that thing is super impressive for what they've been able to accomplish. Not to mention, with the partnership between Nintendo and Microsoft, thanks to Microsoft acquiring Activision Blizzard, we can and should be expecting to see titles like Call of Duty come to the Nintendo Switch. Perhaps even a version that is native to what's out currently on PC as well as other consoles, rather than a cut down version with missing features like we've previously seen on Nintendo consoles. To be clear, this is all highly speculative and nothing exactly has been confirmed, but if the leaks and rumors end up being true, I think we could be seeing a really cool new Nintendo Switch coming very shortly. With that being said though, I still think that the Nintendo Switch is a solid console with an incredible library, tons of accessories on the market, and an overall really user-friendly experience that allows anyone to enjoy it. Whether it's for the family to play Switch Sports, or to grind out dungeon crawler games like Diablo, or even to have just an extensive backlog of indie titles like Sifu, there's a ton of games to be enjoyed by just about anyone. I'm not the kind of person that makes purchasing decisions based on leaks or rumors, so when it comes to the Nintendo Switch, if you're still currently looking for one, I would highly recommend going out and picking one up because you seriously can't go wrong. In fact, I believe the console is even better now than it was just a few years ago, with all of the titles, games, and features that they've added, like even Bluetooth audio support, which has apparently been in the console this whole time. But I guess that's a conversation for another day. By the way, like I said, I will link all of the accessories that I used on my Nintendo Switch in the description below in case you're interested. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, a like and a sub to the channel is always highly appreciated. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.